Hello and welcome to our Fireside chat with design expert Vanessa. I'm Althea from the growth team at Academy XI. I'm seeing a lot of people joining, and we're super excited to be chatting with Vanessa today and just fishing out her brains on her experiences with Academy XI and as a UX UI design expert. So I see the numbers growing. We are expecting around 80 people in this webinar. So I'll give it probably 2 to 3 minutes before we formally start, okay? So feel free to relax, grab a cup of coffee or tea, whatever suits you. And also we have the chat box open. Just feel free to shout out where you're joining from. We'd love to know who our audiences are. Where you are around Australia or around the world will be awesome to know. To start, I'm from Wollongong. Vanessa is from Melbourne. Oh, hi. Oh, we see a lot of people from Sydney joining. So yeah, grab your coffee, grab your tea. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes and we'll just go on mute for now, okay?
Cool.
Also, before we start properly, just a few Zoom tips. So you can post questions in the Q&A box at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that button. So use that for any question and answer. Any questions you have, just pop it in there and we'll find time, Vanessa and I, to go through all the questions at the end of the Fireside chat. And yeah, we also encourage you to upvote any questions you'd like answering first so we get to the burning ones very quick. And just an FYI too, this video or webinar is being recorded, so we will send it to you after this session so you can have like a good time to rewatch everything. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on socials. We have a LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram account. You can post or tag us. We're very happy to reshare any content as well. So yeah, thank you. All right, seems like we're all ready to go. Let me just stop my screen share for a moment. There you go. I see a lot of questions coming up already, so awesome. Thanks, guys. So I'll start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are gathering today and wherever you're joining us from. I'd like to pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, past, present, and emerging. So yeah, some of you will be completely new to Academy XI, so welcome and very good to have you all with us. Our mission is to enable professional development and address Australia's digital skill gap. So it's always been one of our since we started. Um, just some quick facts, really. So by 2025, it is estimated that an average Australian worker will need 7 digital skills to close this gap. So yeah, it's better to start like lining up those digital skills that you have because the world is ever changing. In terms of what it actually looks like, we're going to probably need about 79% more newly skilled and reskilled tech workers by 2025 to meet this challenge. So that's a lot of numbers. It's a really big challenge that we're up against, and we are looking to help play a big role in solving it. So we have an amazing community of design, tech, and business and marketing professionals who are the lifeblood of our organization. Today, it's a really great opportunity amongst our community to start connecting with one another. So we have this webinar as part of that. So hopefully we get to meet a lot of new people. So yeah, so let me please briefly introduce our guest. So as you all know, her name is Vanessa. She is our design expert today. She is an Academy XI fruit and has returned with us, but this time as a mentor. Her design solutions are always centered around human needs and empathy, and this is complemented very well with her experiences in customer service, retail, and her career as a yoga instructor. So Vanessa, over to you. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you started the journey in the world of business and design.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. That is a good summary. So I'm Vanessa. I also go by V, as that's sometimes easier to pronounce. As has been mentioned, came from an 8-year career long as a yoga instructor, and I taught in about 5 countries. I used to live overseas.
Wow.
pre the big C. And then, I came back to Australia and sort of I'm in Melbourne, and I want to thank everyone for joining as well, because I can see that there are people from all over the place, all around the world, which makes me so excited. I kind of came back and got stuck in this epic long lockdown, as people from Melbourne will understand. I turned 30 and decided to move to Queensland and thought about my future career as a yoga teacher, and found that the next steps into what yoga had to offer me wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. And so it was actually a friend of mine that also studied at Academy XI. I sat down with him one day and picked his brain and found that everything that he was talking about in terms of what UX and UI design was really aligned with all of my experience over the last 10 years in every single job that I'd had. And it was sort of every bit of everything that I loved about certain jobs squashed in together into one role. And I was like, I think I would love this. And I also think I'd be quite good at it. So 2 months later, I started my boot camp with Academy XI. So I did the UX UI Transformer course that was full-time over 3 months, and finished that in September. Hang on, let me get my timeline right. September of 2021. Yep, that's right. And then did a short contract straight after that, and then have been working as a product designer for Go One, which is an e-learning platform. So that's, I guess, just a little summary of what I've been up to.
That's awesome. Like, we're very, very interested to learn all the rest of your journey and how it all started. And you did like a very quick introduction about that. So we're just quite curious, and we have a lot of questions to go through today. So let me kick that off and start off with this one. So like, when you started studying and working, how did you juggle that at first?
So I was living out of home, which I know some people have the privilege in that to be able to study when they are at home. So of course I had the financial pressure of rent and food and everything like that. So I at 30 or 30, ended up back working at a cafe 1 day a week. And also I have the privilege of living and working rights within Australia that has a very high minimum wage. So one shift a week for I think 9 or 10 hours was enough for me to, and I had a fair amount of savings to get me through the 3 months of the course. So I won't lie, it was a lot of effort. It was a full-time course. So I would get up, do an hour of yoga, go for a little walk on the beach, and then sit down at my computer at 8 a.m. And then I would work all the way through until probably 5 or 6 p.m., make dinner, read a book, go to sleep. And that was 5 days a week. And then on Saturdays, it would be, I think, 7 or 8 a.m. at the cafe until about 5 p.m. as well. So, and then Sunday was my only day off, my only sleep in. It was definitely helped with the fact that, you know, I was living in Sunshine Coast in Queensland, which is about an hour north of Brisbane. And I am very much, I like to call myself a mermaid. So the ocean is very important to me. So having that sort of, you know, nature release on the Sunday, or even like after I'd finished studying or after work, just to go be in the ocean for a minute and sort of have that little bit for myself, that is what I found really, really important in being able to balance everything. So to avoid burnout and things like that while studying.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like when you really want something, there's no excuses. Like you really have to work hard for it. And yeah, telling
Yeah.
from like all that what you're saying is really interesting. So what was one of, like after studying UX, or even while you were studying UX UI, what was the major takeaway that you have from the course in terms of skills?
Yeah, it really surprised me how much it changed the way I saw the world. That after I learned about, like, everything that's man-made is designed. And if something isn't friendly to use, it doesn't mean that you're dumb or like you've got it wrong. It means that it's poorly designed. And having that scope on the world really changed how I interacted with it. That anything that I came across, I was just like, this could be easier, or this is really good. And now I, like, even the other night I was at a friend's place and he was tuning his guitar, and the app that he used to tune his guitar, I was staring at it being like, this micro interaction, oh my gosh, it like got all my little brain juices going, because I understood that now. But yeah, that's the big thing. Then I think within this industry, a lot of it is, and within the course as well, the more you put in, the more you get out. So you can sit back and just sort of go along with the motions and, you know, do MVPs and push out the features and not track anything. Or you can throw your heart and soul into it and really love it, which is what I found that I did. And then you just get so much more out of it as well. Yeah.
That's good. Did you experience any client projects while you were doing the course, or?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky in that, so within the Academy XI structure of the Transformer course, the second two like blocks of work were customer facing projects. And then the first 6 weeks while we're learning the human-centered design double diamond process, we got to choose what's called like a passion project. And at the time I was working for a company as a teacher and an admin. They called me the unicorn. I was like the admin expert of a yoga company. And I contacted my CEO for that company and said, would you mind if I used your company as a passion project to do? So I was really grateful that I got that opportunity to do, first cab off the rank, to sort of do a client brief and to then be able to present it back to a client straight away. And it was awesome. The feedback I got from the CEO when I presented the whole thing was, if I didn't know that you were a student, I would have thought you'd been doing this for years. And that was so special. And I think it definitely gave me an advantage of when we stepped into the client projects, that some of the other students turned to me to be like, oh, well, you've run a client brief before, maybe take the reins on this, so that, yeah, because I sort of had the little trial run. And I mean, CEOs and of small startups, they're always so happy to, you know, share what they have. And for anyone out there that is, you know, I saw someone that's self-taught, like, go grab your own project, you know, get someone's app and redesign it and ask people and put it in front of people, do some user testing, and then take that and pitch it to that CEO or that founder or that small business owner and say, hey, like, I know you didn't ask for this. I've done this out of, you know, love and my passion for design. Here's what I've got. Like, no charge to you, just want to go and pass it over. Because then in their head, they're just like, this person's got it. Like, this person switched on and takes initiative, which I think is quite a bit of a role. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting because you did mention that you started off like you were in retail, you were in customer service, and being a yoga instructor. So it's a big switch of career
Yes.
change. And I know we probably have a lot of listeners or viewers who are experiencing the same or want to switch careers. So how did that like feel at start when you started working your first client? So that's probably like your first real UX UI experience, not technically as a job, but like as an experience in general. How did that make you feel, the switch?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't met anyone else that has gone from yoga teacher to UX designer. Not yet. There might still be others of us out there, but yeah, it's a big jump. And I was the only person within my course that was making sort of that bigger gap. Other people had come from graphic design or maybe like 3D design and things like that. And I think that what I had to remind myself is that, you know, like, it's that spiritual part of me that's just like, it's not about comparison, but it's about what I have that's special. And I know one of my superpowers is being able to facilitate and talk to people. So that's why when you invited me to this webinar, I was like, yeah, of course, I'll come chat to people. This is fine. And no, it might not mean that I have the strongest UI skills, but that's also something that I can learn. And I think that as long as you have like part of the skills that you can grab onto, that's still valuable. You know, that's still something that you bring to a team, that everything else can be taught. I know when I got my job at Go One, they spoke to me about like, we know you don't have the skills, but the skills can be taught, and it's all about mind frame and attitude. And especially at Go One, they're all about learning. So if you have that openness to be like, I don't know everything, but I can learn everything. And I think that's what's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and also how you present yourself, how you study about the work that you're applying for, that's really a huge plus. So, yeah, you mentioned Go One. How long did it take you from like graduating to eventually getting employed at Go One? Did you have to go through the career support program with us?
Yeah, I did. So I won't lie, it was quite a disheartening process, to put it that way. I think that after the course, there was very much this air of like, you'll be fine, you know, we will get you a job and you'll be great, and everything like that. And because I had sort of stepped up as one of the more like leadership roles, I guess, within my cohort, that I think I had it in my head of just like, oh, well, like, you know, I'm good and I can apply for senior roles and like, I'm ready to go. What I didn't understand was that I wasn't ready. Like, I'd learned the base cake layer of what was yet to be jam and cream, and another cake layer and icing and sprinkles, and then a unicorn on top. So I think it's then the humbling of, I now know what I don't know. So after graduating, I did do the career support program with Elizabeth, who I cannot say enough nice words about her. She's the pep talk everyone needs. And she's wonderful. And I got a 6-week contract with a health company, And that was me and another student from my cohort. We did 6 weeks of customer interviews. Sorry, we did 3 weeks and then it got extended, of customer interviews, which they'd set up to build a persona. And it was something insane. Like between the two of us, I think we did 90 customer interviews in 3 weeks.
Oh,
it was
wow.
like a crazy amount, and synthesized all the data, affinity mapped everything, put together these personas, and they were incredibly impressed. And I think that little contract was great to give me sort of a peek behind the door of like a real world experience. And then it was just applying and applying and applying and applying and applying and applying, applying. It was also towards the end of the year. So it was around Christmas time that things sort of died off a little bit. And honestly, the biggest advice I can give to people is, and you've probably heard this before, is just to get on LinkedIn and grab those people and have those chats. Like just, and because you never know what a chat will lead to. So I got reached out to by a recruiter and had a chat. He was a surfer dude from up in Sydney and we got along super well. And he said, look, I don't have anything for your level, but I do know someone that is looking for someone at your level. So don't mention my name. Here's their LinkedIn, just reach out to them. And so I ended up reaching out to him, and yeah, it was like a few days before Christmas and we were trying to like sort out a time, and then he was really busy with meetings. And I said, you know what, let's maybe not stress. I don't want to like put you out too much. Let's talk in the new year. So I like closed my laptop, I closed LinkedIn for I think a week or 2 weeks over Christmas. And I was like, I'll come back to this later, because job hunting is a job in itself, honestly, like it's so full on. And to be frank, I completely forgot about him. It just escaped me because we'd never like connected and I never like sent him my things. And yeah, so in the new year, he ended up reaching out to me again and he was just like, hey, just wondering, you still interested? And I said, yeah, for sure. And then had like a screening interview, I'll say, with him, and then a presentation of portfolio and client project with him and the design lead that I end up working with now. And then like a final sort of cultural interview with 3 people. And then, yeah, the next day got offered a job and just started crying. I was so happy.
Oh,
so yeah,
it's such a nice story.
Yeah, and it is all that you know, you get further with honey than with vinegar. You know, it's just putting yourself out there. And yes, it's intimidating, and yes, it's somewhat uncomfortable. And I'm lucky in the fact that I'm pretty extroverted and I'll talk to anyone. But for people that do find themselves a bit more introverted, it's a lot, and I understand that, but I just really encourage you that so much can happen from a conversation, and you just got to ask for it, because people are lovely in the industry as well. People are so willing to just have a chat and be like, yeah, cool. Like even 15 minutes, you say like, hey, I just need to like ask you something really quick. Can I steal you for 15 minutes? Or if you see that someone's in your city, say, hey, do you have like a lunch break that I could like meet you outside your office and buy you a coffee? That goes so far. Yeah, that would be my biggest advice for budding designers.
Yeah, I guess that answers Amir's question, because we have like some questions here popping up in the group chat. And Amir asked, I'm a self-taught designer. So he has a portfolio that showcases interaction, web, and product design. And I want to start landing some clients but have no experience. Any advice? So I guess the big takeaway from you is put yourself out there, especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And with that as well, I think a lot of what clients want to see is not so much, here, I made this app, this is it. It's more like telling the story and telling people about what you learned. And to know that me traveling, I've always traveled by myself, and especially as a white woman, that becomes tricky sometimes. And I always say, like, things either go 2 ways. They go right, or you get a really good story out of it. Nothing is a failure. if all of your project falls apart and it didn't work and you get to right to the end and you get the final prototype and everyone looks at it and says, nah, it's crap, that's still a learning opportunity. And if you can pivot that, like if you pitch that as just like, yep, now we know that, it doesn't matter what you build, it matters what you learned. And I think that is really important to show in interviews, but also within your portfolio.
Yeah, so maybe in terms of creating portfolios, we might have some people asking like, what was your thought process in it? Like, how would you make sure that your portfolio is something noticeable, and even your resume in general? So we have an anonymous question here asking about that.
Yeah, and I know that this is definitely a big one that this is my first adult job in my life. So writing a resume and making a portfolio, I was just like, what the hell is this about? So like my portfolio isn't anything like, whoa, like look at all those micro interactions and look at the app she built. It's storytelling, and it's storytelling in a way that you're able to get across the why it's a problem, why it's worth fixing, and how you went about fixing it. And as I said, it doesn't matter if you get to the end of the whole process and you're just like, no, it didn't work. You just need to explain that, like nothing is ever a failure. It's just a good story. And it's just an opportunity for you to showcase your design thinking. Because as I said in my interview, they didn't hire me because I had the most UI expert skills. They hired me because of my attitude towards failure. And I think that's really important to showcase. In terms of resumes, it's sort of tricky because people want things that are digestible. If you're applying for a job and there are 100 applicants, you need to do something that's just like, bam, here's my name, here's what I'm about, that's it. And I think that personality comes into it a lot as well. So I recently got, this is really cute. There was this woman that reached out to me on LinkedIn end of last year, trying to poach me. And I said, I'm really happy in my role. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. But again, there's nothing wrong with a chat. So if you just want to like have a chat and like maybe in the future, who knows? So I ended up jumping on a call together, and we just had so much similarities. And then we found out our dogs have the same name. So we ended up going on a dog walk together, and she's an absolute star. But she said to me, she's like, I just was really attracted to your LinkedIn profile because I thought it really showcased your personality. And that I think is the step aside from what will showcase you. Like, what special thing are you that you can bring somewhere? And it's not about, oh, like I'm so good at everything. It's just like, I can bring this little bit of glitter to your team and I know that you'll enjoy it. I think it's bringing that. And for me, it's like facilitating, talking to people, being the extrovert. And my design lead is very introverted. And when we started when I first started, we got into a research sprint, and I was like, yep, custom interviews, like hit me up, I'm good at this. Like, and he was just like, yeah, this is your superpower. Like, this is what you're good at. And then it gets to, doing some UI interaction design. I'm just like, whoa, like so much to learn there. But as I said, everything is teachable.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess we have a lot of people probably very curious right now as to what your LinkedIn profile looks like. So
go look me up. Let's be friends.
We're going to share that on our group chat soon, so you guys can see Vanessa's techniques and strategies on presenting herself on LinkedIn that garnered a lot of attraction from all these recruiters and business people. That's so good. Thanks for sharing that. So we know aside from working with full-time, you're working full-time at Go One. You also started as a part-time mentor at Academy XI. So can you tell us through your experience, what does a mentor do exactly?
I basically just give pep talks and tell everyone that they're going to be okay. I remember when I did my boot camp that it was like up and down all day, every day. I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then you'd like get a little bit and you're just like, oh my God, everything makes sense. And you just like all over the place. And so I so sympathize with people going through that process, that it is so confusing until it's not confusing. And I think that one thing that I learned from teaching yoga is that to be a good teacher, you don't necessarily need to know a whole bunch of stuff. You need to be able to explain things 7 different ways so that everyone can understand it. And like, I'm a very visual person. I'm very good at analogies. If anyone ever needs an analogy, please come to me. And I think that is what a lot of the mentoring was. So yeah, Academy XI reached out to me because I got recommended by my my teacher who taught in my cohort, and said, yeah, I think she'd be great to just sort of help people out. And sometimes it was just sort of putting spot fires out of just like, hey, like, let's remember what we're doing. Like, go back, explain it to me again. Get it so I can understand it. And being able to allow people to explain it themselves sometimes lets them understand it even better.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, once there was one student that was in a really difficult life situation and then was pouring all this time into this project. And I sort of just said, hey, you're unwell, you know, you've got stuff going on, take the rest of the week off, shut the computer, like, this isn't worth it. And I think also being able to like give people permission to take a break. Breaks are really important. And, you know, like, even at work now, like, I have a whole tab open of like Wordle and Hurdle and Nerdle and all of those things that, like, if I'm designing and I get into a roadblock, I'll just go and do something else. You know, like, it's so important for your brain to have a relax. So I think that, yeah, the mentoring has been so rewarding for me, because even if I don't have all the answers, I know that I can be supportive and, you know, go and find things, articles that help and explain things differently, and be able to send that to students and say, hey, like, does this make sense? I know we didn't, you know, crack the code when we were on the call, but does this article help? Or, you know, and be able to understand how different people learn and experience information is, yeah, it's awesome. I love it. And if anyone wants to have a chat out there that isn't in Academy XI, just shoot me. Yeah, I see that my LinkedIn's there. Just shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have a chat.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's really nice to have, I think, like, I'm speaking for most of the students as well. Like, when you're looking for a mentor, you want someone to not just get skills from, all these tech skills and hard skills, but also learn in the process. And in general, just having the tech skills or the hard skills is not enough. You also need to have the soft skills to sell yourself. That's basically what you need to get your name in the interview, get that calendar invite or whatever. So that's very important. And yeah, to learn that from you and the hard skills is really important. Like, for me, if I was a student and I want, that's what I want in a mentor generally.
Yeah. I just want to, sorry, I just want to add to that as well. Like, for anyone out there that's looking for a mentor, have sort of the curiosity of what they can offer, but not the expectation that they're going to do things for you. You know, don't get a mentor thinking,
100%.
oh, they're just going to like invite me into the industry and introduce me to all these people that are hiring. Like, that's not the job of a mentor. We're here to support and answer questions. And if you're going to a session with a mentor, like, have a list of questions that's just like, hey, like, I'm struggling with this. Do you have a resource for this? Or what do you think of this industry? Or what's your experience with this? And, you know, have that sort of approach to it, but still know, like, you have to do the work. we help as much as we can, but we can't do everything.
Yeah, that is 100% true. It's you don't feed people on a silver spoon. Like, you have to learn it by yourself. That's why you're here. That's why you're trying to learn. Plus, everything with Academy XI, you learn online, you have your own time, you have your own pace. So that's really, like, just have the initiative to do these things. What was your experience with your mentor, by the way, studying at Academy XI?
My mentor, I loved her. She got me. And yeah, she definitely was really, really helpful in being able to understand just a little bit more of the industry, because, you know, me coming from yoga teaching, I had no idea. Like, as I said, I'd never had a real job. I need to stop saying that. I had a real job, but I never had sort of like a position in this world before, ever. So I think it was really helpful for me to be able to understand that side of things. And, you know, she'd had a lot, like she'd been working in the industry for about 10 years. And yeah, it was just really nice to be able to get that perspective. And again, like it was a lot of encouragement on her side that, yeah, she was just like, you're going to be fine. Like, you're going to kill it. Like, once you get that foot in the door. And she could see that curious attitude that I had of just like, I just want to find out more, because that's the thing with UX UI design is there's always more to learn. It's just this ever opening Pandora's box of just like, oh, and there's this you can do, and there's this way of thinking. So yeah, I think it's that constant curiosity of what else is there, not in a way that's in a, I don't want to say greedy, that's not the word I'm looking for, but in this sort of wanting way of just like, I want to have all the information, but more in like that openly curious, like, this is so interesting, like what else can I learn about people, what else can I learn about how Figma works, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah
that's very I guess coming from a different career and then switching to this, you not only learn about the skill, you also learn about new tools and how to go around a computer, and like to see if you're gonna love it or not, because it's not for everybody being on the computer, being technical about things, designing things. So it's not for everybody. So I guess this is this is one of the more pressing questions we get from students or potential students, is really, you with your experience with Go On, what is a day in the life of a designer? Like, what do you do? Like, paint us a picture. We need to know.
So what I have come to the conclusion of is that no one actually knows what they're doing, including me. And like my best friend, she will introduce me and say, oh, hey, this is V. She does coding, which is not what I do at all. Like, no, like I don't think my mum knows what I do. So get used to having to explain your role again and again to people forever. So yeah, I work in what we call the learning manager space. So and I won't say an average day, I'd say like an average week. There's 2 major projects that I'm working on at the moment. And so throughout the week, I will be in meetings with other designers, getting feedback on designs that I've made, to doing and setting up user interviews to run through language or flows or prototypes, and then paired with that, asking them questions about their current behaviors and what they're doing, what's frustrating, to going on to there's a web application called Full Story, which is basically a screen recorder for anyone that's using our platform, and getting statistics on, okay, well, how many people do that, and how many frustrated clicks were there, to find new problem spaces. And then it's also giving feedback to other designers and saying, hey, have you thought about this? Like, what about this sort of thing? What else do I do? It's sort of a mixed match of everything. And I think that's like, I'm slightly ADHD, so jumping from one thing to the other for me is really good for my brain. It's a lot of talking to people, and it's a lot of back and forth with, have you thought about this? What about this? And also being very unattached to, it's the balance. It's at the early stages, being really unattached to what you think is right, and being open to pivoting. And then after a certain point, when you've reached that critical mass of just like, we know what the solution needs to be for ease of use, for customer satisfaction, then it's a lot of pitching it to other people, trying to convince them of the why that you need to do what you're doing. This recent big project I've got going is, basically pulling out, I feel like I'm a little bit of a monkey in the old school, like, telephone connectors where they're moving all the wires from one place to the other. I feel like we have to do that within our system. And so it's a huge body of work, and it is the hill that I will die on, that it's just pitching it to like engineers and product managers and head of design and head of product and customer facing people,
stakeholders.
Exactly. And it's a lot of my mentor used to call it manipulavin, that it's positioning people just like in the right spot so that they feel like they've come up with maybe the solution and being like, yes, you did it. This is what I've been saying for months.
Manipulative, that's a good word.
Manipulative. It's a good skill to have.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Thank you so much for sharing about a day in the life. It sounds a lot, honestly.
It's really fun
You have
well.
to, yeah, you have to work with different stakeholders, but that's a thing, you know, it's a general thing that we have to start doing once we're in our adult job.
Correct.
Adult.
Correct.
Yeah. So how about we start moving on to our Q&A? We have a lot of Q&As, by the way, from the audience. Thank you so much to everyone. So we will try to go through everything as quick as possible, and hopefully you get something out of like all the things we're sharing. So I have an anonymous question here. How do you feel about the job market in Australia comparing internationally in terms of job availability, competition for jobs, entry-level position, pay, etc.?
With this, I don't feel like I have a lot of authority to talk about this. I've been in my role for a year, and so haven't been looking at what the job market's like. I know that, you know, a lot of bigger companies are doing mass layoffs because there was this exponential growth for hiring over COVID.
That's true.
Yeah, and now everyone's sort of scaled up that they're scaling back slightly. In terms of like everywhere is remote. If you are working for a company that don't support that don't support remote work, I would consider potentially not applying, or if you do get an interview, questioning why they don't support it, because everything can be done remotely. That would sort of be the thing I would look out for. But yeah, I feel like maybe someone else, reach out to someone else on LinkedIn that is higher up within the industry, that maybe has worked internationally for companies, that they might have a better idea. I'll palm that one off. Sorry.
All right, thank you. So next we have Brandon. He is, hi Vanessa, thank you for your time today. I am currently studying part-time at Academy XI and looking to complete a career change in UX design by the end of the year. Yay, Brandon. What is your advice for someone once they complete their course to get their foot on the door within the industry? And I guess we talked about that earlier too.
Talking to people, just literally like have like there's so many articles about like questions to ask your mentor and like questions to ask within an interview. Just get a list of maybe 10 of those, and then just start reaching out to people on LinkedIn that are working either at a company that you're really interested in, that has a good culture that fits your needs, or people that have a career that you sort of aspire to look like, and just start asking those questions, getting your face in front of them. Some people won't have the time to give you like an hour, but just saying like, hey, would you have 15-20 minutes, because sometimes they can go on a little bit longer if you get chatting, to just say like, hey, I just want to like, and I would suggest not saying, hey, can you look at my portfolio and give me feedback, because the amount of people that will do that for people is it's a bit of a thing. But maybe instead of showing them your portfolio, say like having the chat first, and then what I found is a lot of people will say, yeah, send me your portfolio over and I'll give you feedback on it. But being able to ask them human-centered design questions about them is really beneficial, because then they'll be able to see who you are. Talk to people.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess we also have Lillian asking kind of quite the similar question, but I don't know if you would have any idea, but within your cohort, Lillian is asking how many were able to find a job. That is, if you know.
I believe that everyone got a job. I think that, me and one other, I think, was some of the last. I know that a lot of people landed jobs within 3 to 4 months, but as I said, we ended the cohort in September, and then it was sort of edging towards Christmas. So if you sort of didn't get a job within the next 2 months, you had to wait sort of until the next year to get your foot in the door. Exactly. So from what I know, we're all pretty happy in lovely roles, and I still talk to people that I did my cohort with. So keep your friends close.
Yes, that's good. I have one question from an anonymous attendee. So, architect to UX designer, pros and cons. So, this is quite niche, but I think in general, like it's just the same as switching careers like yourself from yoga to designer. So, what
Yeah,
can you say about that? Yeah.
I'm just wondering if this person, either anonymously or not, wanted to say if they thought maybe I was an architect, because I'm not. But my brother's an architect. But yeah, it's like any switching of careers.
Yeah.
Like I found that teaching yoga had so many transferable skills into UX design. Like it's how you frame it. It's not
Yeah.
what you have. So yeah, if I can do it, and like look at me, I'm covered in tattoos, I've got purple hair, you know, I'm not the mold of a corporate worker, and I don't have experience within this field, and I'm valued and I'm loved by my team, and I bring
Yeah.
something very unique that the rest of the team doesn't have. So you find your own what is it, USP, unique selling point for
Yeah.
yourself, and bring that.
It comes naturally too. It's not something I realize that if you want to switch careers, it's not about what career you were from. It doesn't, you can be a doctor as long as you have the
Right.
passion in the moment right now and you're so into it, you're 100% devoted to learning this. Because if you're not passionate with UX, then what's the point? Like look
Yeah,
for something else that fuels you. So I hope
exactly.
that answered your question, anonymous. We have another. I think we talked about the layoffs earlier, but there's another question. With the current news of mass layoffs in tech industry, how do you see this affecting the talent pool market in Australia and barriers to gaining employment as a UX UI designer?
Yeah, I think that I also just saw Anna. Thanks, Anna. Your little message. It's I can only, like, again, I don't talk from a place of authority because I am in a position. I will say that I can see it being potentially a lot harder for
Mhm.
juniors to get the foot in the door. Because usually the way things go is last in, first out. So
Yeah.
if you're coming into a company and then the CEO turns around and says, cool, we need to downsize by 3%, they will usually go for those bottom level ones. But in saying that, every experience is experience, you know, having that first role, even if you're in the unit for 3 weeks, it's still experience. And
Yeah.
that's how you present it to the next place, that you say, hey, I was in this role for 3 weeks, I got made redundant. This is what I learned, you know, put it in your portfolio, put it on your resume. There's connections there as well that you've made in that company. And so you keep in contact with them. And yeah, it's a whirlpool, you know, and it's just, as I said, talking to people and marketing yourself.
Yeah, and just switching your mindset. Like, don't feel down. Like, don't
Yeah,
push yourself too hard if ever you're in that scenario.
correct.
Yeah.
It either goes right or it's a good story.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going through some of the questions. Some of them we might have answered. Oh, I have a very interesting question here, from Lillian again. I hear a lot of UX designer clash with developers. Is that true? Have you seen it happen? Have you experienced
The developers. I love my developer
it?
team. I don't think they love me all the time. So I I use my ignorance as a, you know, ignorance is bliss kind of thing. So
Yeah.
this happened a few months ago, that I like presented designs and I was like, this is how it works. And they're beautiful. They'll ask like all the in and out questions and edge cases and things like that. And sometimes it is, hey, this is such an edge case, we don't need to worry about that right now. Let's just make the behavior this, and like that's enough. But with me having zero idea about back-end systems, coding, anything like that, I kind of do the whole like, but what does that mean? And so I presented designs and they were like, oh, we can't do that. And I was like, okay, explain to me why you can't. Like I'm 5, explain to me why you can't, because then I can maybe like problem solve like another variation of how we can make it work. And so they spoke amongst themselves for about 10 minutes. And then they came back and they said, yeah, we can do it. So
Hmm.
it's really that asking why, that then it either is like, no, we can't actually do that, and this is why, and then you have to reconfigure things, or you put them on the spot and maybe they're just like, oh no, we haven't thought of a different way to be able to do that, and they just need to technically design a slightly different structure kind of thing. So
Yeah.
again, that comes to manipulating, and it's getting them on board. And I think what's really
Manipulating.
important, manipulating, it's also very much bringing them on the journey. So
Yeah.
instead of just saying, hey, this is what we're doing and this is how it needs to work, it's taking them back to the start and explaining it in a human-centered design way. Say, hey, we spoke to this many customers. They all experienced this. Here's a few snippets from the interview. This is what we have found. Therefore, this is the problem. Therefore, we've designed this to fix that need.
Yeah.
And then that gives them so much more context, and they feel so much more on board with the solution,
Yeah.
that they're like, yes, no, we understand that this is a problem now, and this is why it needs to be fixed. And that gets rid of a lot of the sort of static between the what
clash
and the
with,
how. Yeah.
I guess that's one of the things that the developers, people in the back end, don't have any clue at all, because that's not their job. And
Right.
showing that side and explaining it to them will just cut the barriers between the relationship with developers
Definitely.
and UX designers. So that's a really good input there. Thank you, Lillian. I hope that answered your question. So we have one question from Christabel. I hope I pronounced that wrong. So were you intimidated when you started, and how did you overcome the fear?
Oh, yeah, still am intimidated. And we were talking about this earlier before everyone jumped on. And I think this is something that is very important to talk about, and that is imposter syndrome. We all have it. You'll have it forever. You will never get rid of it. Welcome to life. I'm fully convinced that someone soon is just going to like lift the hood and just be like, you have no idea what you're doing. And I'll be like, I don't. Everyone feels that way. Like my lead product designer feels like that. My product manager feels like that. Everyone feels that imposter syndrome within them. And it doesn't matter what level you get to, you'll always feel it, from what I can gather with everyone I've spoken to. So yeah, of course it's intimidating. And I think that one thing that I have learned, if anyone knows Brené Brown, if you don't, listen to her, read her books. She is, what a wonderful woman, that she talks about vulnerability. And when we see someone being vulnerable, we actually see that as a strength, because they have the strength to expose themselves and to be vulnerable with other people. And it actually humanizes them in a way that is so powerful that you automatically want to be on their side. So, you know, sitting in an interview and saying, hey, like, I'm really nervous, automatically people are just like, oh my God, don't be nervous. Like, we're here to support you. Like, we're on your side. And it's a really powerful thing to be able to acknowledge and speak your fears to people that you are potentially scared of, and not in like a boogeyman kind of way, but more like, that intimidated way. You know, like I got up and had to do a big presentation in front of a lot of executives, and I was just like, hey, there's a lot of people in this room that are very much senior than me. That makes me nervous, because I sing about all my problems because it makes it easier. And everyone just laughed, and the chat just blew up with just like, oh my gosh, don't worry, V, you're fine, you're great, and all this sort of stuff. And it's, again, and I'm not saying do it in a disingenuous way, but being able to like acknowledge your fear and acknowledge the intimidated feelings and present that back to people like get on your side. And everyone's nervous, everyone's feeling imposter syndrome, like we're all running around not knowing what we're doing, so don't worry.
That is so true, Vanessa. I feel like like the feeling of intimidation just comes with our like fear with ourselves. Like, we're just fighting with ourselves. No one is thinking about that. So it's more about communicating it. Once you communicate it, it's not a problem. You gain more confidence as you communicate.
Definitely. And I think it shows a lot of authenticity as well, you know. Like I showed up to interviews looking like this, and I didn't have a background in graphic design, and I'm just this like little mermaid chick that traveled the world and taught yoga. Like, who am I to be able to step into a product designer role? But you acknowledge that and you're just like, I know I don't have the skills, but I can learn them, and I know I can bring people together, and I know I can talk the back legs off a donkey. So hire me.
Yeah, like speaking of skill, I have one question here that's from Maria. So what is your recommendation for additional courses to take after completing UX course, or any upskill that you feel like you need, like when you got hired? What was something that, like, oh, I need to upskill on this one or something? Yeah.
I think that this is less so much, it's hard because it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know for myself, my UI skills are not the strongest. So I did a further part-time course in just UI design.
Okay.
I think what I can recommend is that if another course or something is out of reach, read books. Like read books. There's so many resources out there that people want like all the information fed to them. Like, go and find the information and sit on Figma and play around with an app by redesigning things. Or there's these great resources on YouTube as well that they'll show how they redesigned a web page, and like they'll explain like, oh, I used this rule and this is why I did this, and go out and find the information yourself. Like, I think the UX UI course that I did with Academy XI was a beautiful foundation layer. Then everything that I'm learning is sort of on top of that. Like, I'll have two books going at one time. One is for pleasure and one is all product design. And that's a really useful resource. And then, yeah, I'll watch YouTube videos that get shared in my product design Slack channel, and listen to podcasts. There's so, like, the Nelson Norman group, they have an awesome podcast where most recently they talked about AI and how that can help. And it's sort of, once you get into your role, like, I know that as well, like, I'm a writer. I have a blog from traveling many years ago, and I've realized that writing is a really good superpower that I have. So now I'm looking into like UX writing courses that I can take to my company and say, hey, you don't have a UX writer, fund this course for me that I'll do part-time, and then I can be a source of, knowledge for that. So it's sort of finding the gaps in your knowledge and seeing where the resources are to fit into that. But yeah, read books, everyone read a book.
Yeah, 100%. Not even just books, like all the resources you have on the internet, it's just like there for you to consume. I guess we're running out of time, but I'll pick one easy question here for our last question, and maybe the rest, we can directly communicate with our lovely mentor, Vanessa, and she'll help you out. So I saw a question here about, so you mentioned it's manipulating within the role. Do you find that your company places value on UX, or do you have to sell the value of UX to your business? Very interesting.
Great question. Really, really good question. It's two sides. People within the UX space and the design space, we totally, like, because we catch up at least twice a week and share designs and talk about our weekends, and like, we're really close as a group. Outside of that, it's sometimes hard to allow other people to understand our value. And so an initiative that our head of design has made is talking about metrics. So not only like, oh, hey, we're solving customer problems, but being able to say, hey, at the current moment, we have X% of customers doing this over this time frame. And our metrics that we want to see shifted is this percentage of X amount of customers doing this instead. And we know that that's where we want to go. So we're experimenting with this design solution. And it might be the button moves on a screen, and you give that a trial run, you do some A/B testing, and then you see if that metrics have shifted. And then, again, it's not a failure, it's an opportunity that, oh, hey, those metrics didn't shift. We know it's not that. Or we have seen it shifted. Great, this was a tick. Now we can see the value. And I think that is a really new thing that I'm learning about how numbers and data is also like such a tool to use with UX design, and how to pitch the value of UX design to other people, to run the experiment and say, hey, like we saw this turnover happen, and it's because of this, because we identified this. So it is, it is selling your ideas. And I keep saying to my team at the moment with the project I've got going on at the moment, this is the hill that I will die on. Like I know how important it is, and I will like yell from the top of the building. And even this morning I was reading in this design book that enthusiasm goes a long way. If you are excited about the work that you are doing, you can get a lot of people on board. So 100%. Be passionate about what you're doing, and that will get people on your side.
Awesome. I think that's the perfect answer to end this session. And honestly, Vanessa, we hope there was like another session for this, because we have so many people interested and have so many questions. But for everybody, we put Vanessa's LinkedIn on the chat, so feel free to connect with her.
Please do.
She's an awesome mentor, and we can't wait to see more of her with Academy XI and see all her projects on LinkedIn, hopefully. So everybody check out our website and reach out to AXI if you're interested in learning more about UX UI design. And thank you so much, everybody. Lovely speaking with you, Vanessa, and we'll send everybody a recording of this session. So everybody, thanks, and have a good lunch.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining, and great facilitation. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Lovely, lovely day. Bye.
Bye.